Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Thank you for being here, and a special welcome to the people that are joining us for the first time. We have so many new people joining our community. I want to make sure that that we're here. 60 and Me is here for you if you're a woman over 60. In fact, we have women in their 50s and certainly beyond 60 and 70, 80. So we welcome everybody here. Thank you very much. And please tell your friends about 60 and Me. We are a big community now, but we've got lots of channels across the World Wide Web that are here to support you. We've got a website, 60andme.com. That's a fabulous site, in my opinion. We've got lots of articles on everything from retirement to travel, fashion, beauty. We've got caregiving, lots of news items now. We're featuring more news related stories, so keeping you up to date on current events. And also, we've got like a whole lot of topics on this concept of independence, being in your 60s, what that means. So check out our website, and we've just done a redesign of the homepage of our website. So we've got lots more content there now for you in different categories for you to check out and enjoy. So 60andme.com. Tell your friends about it. It's a really cool place to meet and have conversations. Now, as always, I start these mornings with my tea. And today I've decided I'm going to go with something really, really simple, and that's just my green tea. I'm a big fan of green tea, as you probably know if you've been watching for the years. That we actually there's antioxidants in green tea that are super special for your health, and I just love it. And so that's today, just a green tea. I think that says jasmine green tea on it. But it's anyway, it's a really nice tea, and I do love it. Hope you've got a special drink or coffee, maybe juice, smoothie, whatever you love. But this is your time. This is where we get together and talk about things that are important to us. And this one today, I doubt there's anybody in this audience today who doesn't feel this at one point or another. And that is, the question of perfection. Do you feel perfect? Do you desire to be perfect? Is this something that you've always wanted in your life? Have you built your whole set of activities and career and life and family around this sense that you've somehow got to be perfect? Well, the bad news is if you're imperfect, that's the good news. You're human. And this is what our blogger, Christine Field, talks about in her article, Embracing Imperfection. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about it because I think she talks about her journey in the article, and I really encourage you to read it because it's special. It's hers. It's her unique approach on this. And every single one of you has a similar story to tell. I think it's all around being a perfect mom, a perfect wife, a perfect worker, and how that changes you, how it changes everything that you do so that you can somehow align yourself to that image that you're trying to project to the world, and how you deal with mistakes and things that you come across in your life that put a light on the fact that you are not perfect. You definitely not got there's imperfection in your world. So I think that that as she mentions, Christine mentions, it's this is an illusion. This whole idea of being perfect is just an illusion that I don't know how it starts. I guess it's being a good girl, or having your parents tell you to follow the rules, and just how strive for the best, to be the best, instead of just doing your best. I think that's super important. I'm watching the Olympics, come regularly, and we talk about how people work so hard all their life to be the best, the number one in the world. And that's a rarefied world. Those people are super, super special. But here's some ideas that, I think will help you, hopefully, to embrace your imperfection. And there's plenty of great authors, actually, who do a very, very good job with this. Brene Brown, who has done a TED Talk on vulnerability and imperfection. Amazing woman, great speaker, and talks about how we live our lives, in the world today, to not accept and embrace that vulnerability and imperfection, and how it's hard. You have to be brave. You have to be very brave to deal with it. So if you view the imperfection as something negative, that's, I think, where the attitude needs to change. Because in many ways, it's a gift. Imperfection is a gift that is given to us as a way of looking at imperfection and finding ways to learn and to grow from it. if you're always focused on having a positive public face, you're never going to really understand who you are and embrace, warts and all, everything that you are. So accept that imperfection as a gift and a way to learn and to grow. Yeah, that's super important. Now, Christine says this in her own beautiful way, but it's basically to chase perfection is a fool's errand. If you only look to not fail, you'll never try anything. When you think about some of the great innovators, the entrepreneurs, I mean, Richard Branson, I think, had 20 some companies before he succeeded with his Virgin line and on other businesses. You read all the, not all, but many of the great inventors didn't actually get started until their 60s. And they didn't start, really being successful until then. And it's how our species has evolved. It's how we've gotten better and improved. We've just bumped along and tried things, made mistakes, picked ourselves up and get on with it. And I think that Christine mentions this, and I love her comment that always ask yourself, what did I learn? She says her kids are like, she drives her kids crazy because she says, whenever they come to her with a problem, she'll say, okay, how did you deal with that? And what did you learn? And I think that's the hardest thing for a mother and a father, but it's the hardest thing for parents to actually let their children make mistakes, be imperfect, and say, hey, it's okay. That wasn't, the most perfect thing, but what did you learn? Super important. Now, there's a philosophy that Christine mentions, and I've actually talked about it before on other videos, which I hope you find useful. And that's a philosophy that helps us to understand and to put this whole idea of imperfection into a lifestyle, into a philosophy. And that is this Japanese concept of Wabi Sabi. That's WABI SABI, Wabi Sabi. It's based on Buddhist teaching, but it really represents the sort of ascetic theory that everything is perfect despite or even because of its imperfections. This has been a really great exercise for me. And I've been following the Wabi Sabi philosophy now for several years, and I've turned people onto it and as a way of getting a context around just not always wanting new, not always wanting perfect, just going with what is. So in the philosophy of Wabi Sabi, it's actually, the translation is wisdom in natural simplicity. And that's it. I mean, it's just things are what they are in their beautiful imperfection. So they have the roots in lots of traditions in Japan. So it's quite an interesting cultural philosophy. But if you get to the heart of it, it's just looking at things and appreciating them. So, for example, in the Chinese tea ceremony, which is a very elaborate, formal relationship where people sit and someone makes the tea and serves it to the other person. Part of it is to pick up the bowl at the point. I think it's when the bowl is not full of tea. I can't quite remember, but you turn it and you look at it and you admire it for its imperfection. It may have a crack. It may have something wrong with it. It may not be perfectly painted, but you look at it and you appreciate it, and all the scars on this little bowl are accepted and embraced as part of your embracing yourself and your imperfections. So it's kind of like valuing the experiences that went into making that imperfect bowl or that imperfect lifestyle decision. It's experience, not the thing itself. So I'm just reading a note here. It says, in Wabi Sabi, the broken person is stronger, more beautiful, and more perfect. The broken person. So the imperfect person is stronger and more beautiful. And actually, it reminds me of a quote by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who I used to work with. And she said exactly this, that the most beautiful people she's ever met are those that have gone through struggle, gone through pain, gone through tough times. Gosh, I get goosebumps every time I think of her. Wow. But anyway, that this is where she has met the most beautiful people in her life. And that, she says, is the people that she's worked with in her death and dying workshops and so on. So anyway, so I think the point here is if you can pinpoint the flaw, you can find the beauty. And, for Wabi Sabi and really for the whole philosophy of simplicity and minimalism. That is imperfect. Imperfection is not meant to be. Things are not meant to be perfect. Imperfection is perfect. So I hope that's been useful. I find this in my daily life when I think about. I look at something in my house and I say, "Oh, I need to replace that. I need to get a new something." And I think, what's wrong with that old one? Okay, it's got a chip, it's got a crack, it's not perfect, but it is useful. It is what it is. It helps me with whatever I need. I mean, certainly things break electrically and whatever, you've got to replace them. But the whole idea, and I actually, as you know, I paint rocks. I pick up little rocks. And I was just up in Scotland recently, and I always, they have great rocks up there. So I was looking for rocks. And I always look for the perfect ones. You know, the ones that are round and perfect and easy to paint and just gorgeous, symmetrical. And this time I started looking for the imperfect ones, the ones that had little cracks in them or had little scars, you know, like the little lines, fractures in the rocks. And I brought those home, and actually I'll show you one of them if I can find it. I already showed over. I found this one in just the most, I don't know, it was like a really odd place, but I painted different colors, and it's, I don't know if you can see, like it's just not round. It's it's got little sharp points, and it's just different. And I really treasure this little rock because it's just, to me, it was just not perfect, and I made it beautiful. It's not perfectly beautiful, but it is what it is. So that's something just in my own personal life, that looking around you and not feeling this desperate need to change stuff. Just be happy with the imperfection. So Wabi Sabi, that's the philosophy. There's lots of good books on it. Maybe check it out. Hope it's been useful though, and you found some inspiration in this. Thanks, Robin, for this article that inspired this chat. It's really cool to talk about imperfection as a gift rather than as something we hold back and refuse to accept. So I'd like to know, what are some imperfections that you have stopped fighting and you've embraced in your life? What are some imperfections that you've embraced in your life? Thanks so much. Leave a comment. Oh, something just fell off the window. Those are some of my necklaces. Trust me, those are how I have them up on the window, like on little clips, and like 3 or 4 just fell. I'll go deal with that now. Sorry for that interruption. That scared me more than it probably did you. Anyway, all is well. I'm safe and sound. Have a really great day, everybody. Go out and do something wonderful for yourself, and tell us what imperfections you've merged into your life. Take very good care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.